Have you ever noticed that the moment you start caring more, she starts pulling away? It's confusing, frustrating, and it hits your ego harder than you expect. Things were fine just days ago. The conversations felt natural. The energy was mutual. Then suddenly, the replies slow down. The warmth fades, and without realizing it, your mind starts searching for answers. You replay past messages. You wonder if you said the wrong thing. You feel the urge to fix it fast before you lose her. This is where most people make the same mistake. They react emotionally. They send longer texts. They ask for reassurance. They try to explain themselves or prove their value. And ironically, every emotional move they make pushes attraction further away. Not because they're weak or unworthy, but because emotional urgency changes the dynamic. Here's the uncomfortable truth most dating advice avoids. Attraction doesn't disappear because you care. It disappears because you lose emotional control when you care. Stoicism doesn't teach you to suppress emotion or act cold. It teaches you how to stay grounded when uncertainty shows up. It shows you how to respond instead of panic, how to remain steady when the situation feels unstable. When someone pulls away, the real test isn't about winning them back. It's about whether you can stay calm, self-respecting, and centered while everything in you wants to chase certainty. That calm presence is what most people lack, and what makes all the difference. This is where Stoic thinking separates emotional reaction from emotional mastery. You're texting consistently. The conversations are flowing. Everything feels easy, natural, and mutual. There's no overthinking at first. You're not forcing anything. Replies come back on time. The tone is warm. There's interest on both sides. It feels like momentum is building, like you're finally on the same page. You relax a little. You invest a little more. You assume things are moving forward. Then it shifts. Replies get shorter. Response times stretch out. The enthusiasm that was there starts to feel inconsistent. Nothing dramatic happens, but the change is enough to trigger doubt. Your brain picks up on the difference immediately. You start checking your phone more often. You reread messages looking for mistakes. You ask yourself if you said too much, too soon, or not enough. The uncertainty becomes louder than the facts. And without realizing it, your behavior changes. You text again sooner than you normally would. You add extra words to explain yourself. You try to recreate the energy that used to be there. This is where attraction starts slipping, not in one big moment, but in small emotional reactions that add up. The shift isn't about effort. It's about pressure. When your calm disappears, the dynamic changes. What once felt natural starts to feel heavy. Most people don't lose attraction because they care. They lose it because they let anxiety take control of their actions. They start chasing clarity instead of maintaining self-respect. They seek reassurance instead of stability. The problem isn't interest. The problem is emotional reaction. And the moment you react instead of respond, you hand over control of the situation without even noticing. The Stoics understood something that modern dating culture often ignores or completely misunderstands. Attraction fades when emotional control disappears. This isn't about playing games or pretending not to care. It's about how people respond to uncertainty. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That idea matters even more in relationships, where so much is outside your control. You don't control someone's interest, emotions, or timing. You only control how you show up when things feel unstable. When someone pulls away, most people immediately make it personal. They assume it's a reflection of their worth, their attractiveness, or something they did wrong. In reality, it's usually about emotional dynamics, shifts in energy, timing, personal stress, or the other person processing their own feelings. The mistake is trying to fix what you don't control instead of stabilizing what you do. That's where Stoic thinking changes the outcome. 1. Control your response, not her behavior. The urge to analyze her actions is strong, but it's wasted energy. You don't regain attraction by monitoring someone else's mood. You regain it by staying composed. Calm responses signal emotional strength, not indifference. 2. Detach from outcomes. The moment you tie your self-worth to a specific result, your behavior changes. You start trying to secure the outcome instead of letting it unfold. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care, it means you don't cling. 3. Stop over-explaining. Over-explaining usually comes from fear, not clarity. When you feel the need to justify yourself, you communicate insecurity without saying it directly. Confidence shows up in simplicity. 4. Silence is strength. Immediate reactions often come from anxiety. Taking space before responding isn't manipulation, it's regulation. Silence gives you time to think and keeps emotional balance intact. 5. Maintain your routine. When your life shrinks around one person, attraction suffers. Purpose is attractive because it signals independence. You don't pause your life to wait for attention. 6. Don't chase emotional validation. Seeking reassurance puts pressure on the other person to stabilize you emotionally. Stoicism teaches self-sufficiency first. Validation is strongest when it's not demanded. 7. Match energy, don't exceed it. Overinvesting creates imbalance. When one person gives far more, it shifts the dynamic from mutual interest to emotional pursuit. 8. Stay grounded in self-respect. Self-respect isn't loud. It doesn't argue or plead. It sets quiet boundaries through behavior. Desperation announces itself. Confidence doesn't need to. Be honest with yourself. Are you reacting emotionally or responding with self-control? That question alone changes everything. When you actually apply these Stoic principles in real situations, the shift is immediate, and it's internal before it's external. You stop chasing because you no longer feel the need to prove anything. You stop overthinking because you're not trying to control outcomes that were never in your control to begin with. You stop needing reassurance because your sense of stability isn't dependent on someone else's response. This isn't about becoming emotionally distant or pretending you don't care. It's about refusing to let uncertainty hijack your behavior. When you're no longer reacting from anxiety, your actions slow down. Your words become measured. Your presence becomes steady instead of reactive. And people feel that. Emotional stability is subtle, but it's powerful. It shows up in how you handle silence, in how you don't rush to fill gaps with explanations, in how you don't chase clarity the moment things feel unclear. Most people are emotionally noisy. Calm stands out. When pressure shows up, you don't collapse into it. When uncertainty appears, you don't panic. When someone pulls back, you don't follow them emotionally. That's what it means to be calm under pressure. Not because nothing affects you, but because you've trained yourself not to let emotions dictate your next move. You stay grounded even when the situation is uncomfortable. You let things reveal themselves instead of forcing outcomes. This is where attraction shifts as a byproduct, not a goal. When you're no longer trying to manage someone else's interest, you naturally become more centered in your own life. You keep your routines. You stay engaged with your work, your goals, your responsibilities. Your identity doesn't shrink around one person. And that's what people respond to. Attraction grows in the presence of emotional self-sufficiency. When someone senses that you're not dependent on them for validation, interaction becomes lighter. There's less pressure, less tension, and less emotional weight attached to every exchange. That alone changes how people engage with you. This is Stoic mastery in practice. Not dominance, not manipulation, not emotional suppression. Just control over yourself. If this is the kind of mindset you want to build, emotional control, quiet confidence, and an unshakable presence in your relationships, subscribe to Daily Stoic Mindset. This channel is for people who are tired of reacting emotionally and ready to move with intention. Like this video if you choose calm over chaos. Share it with someone who struggles with overthinking or emotional reactions. And comment Stoic if you're committed to mastering your emotions instead of being controlled by them. Because the most attractive trait you can develop isn't charm, looks, or clever words. It's a steady mind, one that doesn't break, chase, or lose itself when someone walks away.